Hi, my name is Rod Khleif, and I'm the host of the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. And every week I interview multifamily rock stars, and we talk about how they've built incredible wealth for themselves and their families through multifamily properties. So hit the like and subscribe buttons to get notified every Monday when a new episode comes out. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Multifamily Rockstars. So as you know, this is where we interview people that are truly crushing it in this business. And we show you the inside scoop as to how multifamily investors are creating massive success, not just in their businesses, but also in their lives. And as always, I've got my co-host, who's the director of my massive action team for my Warrior program, Mark Nagy, on the call. Mark, what's happening, bud? What's got you excited?
Well, Rod. Oh man, the boot camp, I keep talking about it, but the boot camp coming up, hundreds and hundreds of people meeting up in Orlando. For people listening, if you haven't gotten a ticket yet, get it. It'll sell out. It's going to be an awesome time, 3 days. Yeah, I'm just finishing out the year strong. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that too. It's so nice to have, be back to live events again. And it's been, good Lord, it's been almost 2 years since we've been able to have one. So I'm very, very excited. Of course, I've done all those virtual events, but having the energy from a crowd just makes all the difference in the world. Well, I'm super excited to interview my friend and warrior and actually partner today. His name's Patrick Grimes, and Patrick, his website is investonmainstreet.com, and he's got a ton of experience, incredibly intelligent guy. He's a general partner in 1,200 doors and been in real estate in general for a good bit. And I'm just going to butcher his bio. So Patrick, I'm just going to let you tell us your story and talk about your experience. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be on. Obviously you've played a big role and helped guiding me into the pivoting from, say, single family to multifamily. And, I'm grateful for the opportunity. My wife and I, we live out in Honolulu, originally from California, and I come from the high tech business. I've been doing that for about as long as I've been doing real estate. But currently today, is CEO and founder of Invest on Main Street. And we're purchasing multifamily properties with partners throughout the Southeast and Texas. And as Rod said, we're probably by the end of this year, we're approaching about 2,000 units and 150 million in management.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I know. You've been involved in deals with us. And you're going to be in some future deals with my ex-partner and I that I'm still involved in as well. So just a lot of exciting stuff happening. I know that you just co-authored a best-selling book as well, an Amazon bestseller in like 20 categories called Persistence, Pivots, and Game Changers. And you're one of the authors on that, which I'm very excited. So guys, check that out. On Amazon, Persistence, Pivots, and Game Changers. So that's super exciting. I saw your emails on that very recently. So let me ask you this. You talk a little bit more about your background because it's fascinating. And, I know that, you add so much value to a multifamily team. I'd like you to talk about where that experience came from. Because I know you're huge in digital marketing and all that, and how that has transitioned into what you're doing now, those skill sets. So if you'd speak about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I come from an engineering background. I have, 2 master's degrees. And so I tend to keep my head pretty close to the grinding stone. So getting my story out there isn't something I do too often, but it really comes from this kind of dueling, try to escape from the job, but it was a high tech and real estate kind of battle throughout my career. I mean, I was raised up in the mountains and became technical pretty quick in my younger years, and got into mechanical engineering and got my first job doing machine design, automation, and robotics for a car manufacturer, the Toyota plant, and it was going great, but immediately moved into similar machine design for manufacturing, and the owner said, "Hey, look, you need to put all your money in real estate because this high tech business, while it's profitable and a lot of fun cognitively, it's not really going to get you to where you want to be, and you're going to work until you die and all this stuff, and to buy as much property as you can, as soon as you can." And my old trusted friend that's still investing with me today, Dave, told me that, and so I was off working on, and at that time, the market was just going like this, and I was going to invest as much as I can, as soon as I can, got involved in some development projects. And
when was this? By the way, he went like this and put his hand up. Those of you listening didn't know, he was like, it was rising. But
right.
So when was this timeline wise?
That's part of the punchline. And I think me and you have some things in common, because the punchline was, this was when the market was never going to go down. Right?
Oh, so 06 and 07.
Yeah, it was exactly in 07. And so I put money, I saved up every penny I had. I come from a middle-class background, working hard, and I put it all into these pre-development. Developer had a perfect track record, and we were going to make it big. And then 8, 9, 10 happened, and I had made all the mistakes that now I know were mistakes, but I didn't have the right kind of mentorship to tell me that. And I had personally guaranteed all the loans. They came after me that my loan had been bought and sold 4 or 5 times. They wouldn't take the deed in lieu, and just Rod, you tell me similar things.
Oh, I was times 800 in my case, but yes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, in a very smaller way, and so, but they say, don't lose half your money, and don't lose money, because you lose half of it. It takes 100% return to get back, right? Mm-hmm. But what happens when you lose it all? What percent? This is pop quiz. What percent does it take to get it all back? Like the infinite return to get back. So I came crawling out of that hole, and it was a very humbling, very trying time. And then I realized there's a difference between speculating and calculated investing, right? And that sort of that new construction, new development, it was a little bit more like going to Vegas, and I just didn't want to put my big stack again on green and roll, and roll the dice. And so, with the foreclosure, I was determined not to go bankrupt, but with the foreclosure on my record, I had to pay the taxes on the debt forgiveness and everything. And then I came back to the table many years later. I got 2 master's degrees, call it 4 years later, one in business and one in engineering. Really started rocketing my career and doing projects like Tesla. And I just realized I was working 60 plus hours a week. And I heard those words that I needed to get into real estate. And so at that point, I started researching the lowest risk places and asset classes. And that's when I learned about the ability to buy distressed, and in a place where comparables were known, things could be calculated. And I learned about what markets were resilient against, and hedged against things like market volatility, and have diversified employment. And I started buying. I'm out of California at the time. I started buying in Houston and Texas, right? Mm-hmm. Buying these single family properties, fixing them up remotely. But moonlighting that, it was successful, but moonlighting that was challenging.
Sure.
And I saw that I needed to do like 20 more times before I would get to a spot. And then each time I did one, there was more management headache. And so I knew it within a year or two, I knew I needed to pivot. And then I met my wife, which Shua, and that was a game changer, because I was no longer moonlighting single family. She was there when we closed on our last single family. And that was, I said, I'm taking a break. And then I proceeded to marry her in California and then in Beijing. And we had a great, and after that I said, hey, look, we're going to go do multifamily. And that's when the winning through scale, it really came through. And that's when I became introduced to your Warrior program. It was out of a California event.
You were at the LA event. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Fantastic. I couldn't remember when you joined in, but
we actually joined before that, but it was because of that we learned about your organization, because there aren't a lot of them, doing things in California. Right. And then we got integrated, and we had, I'll tell you what, I am a hard worker. So I had bought a ton of programs. I had been nights and weekends just learning at this point, all these, but it was really the message of the massive action. Just go do it. Just get it out there. And it was the network of the warriors. I think that that really immersed me in accountability. Let's make it happen. Just massive action. And I knew all the information because I had studied and studied and studied. And I knew all the academics, but it was and the mechanics about making it happen. And at that point, before COVID, we've been traveling all over the United States, still weekends and stuff, because I'm still doing high tech. And we had found a lot of deals, just didn't feel right, because obviously I'm very, very conservative. Right. and there was a lot of deals people went forward with, and we were like, well, we'll pass. And that went on for a while. And it wasn't until, I was passing all my deals to your team, and they were underwriting them and say, well, maybe this isn't conservative enough. And it wasn't until COVID hit and some of the deals we had going kind of vaporized.
Right.
And then through COVID, your deals started coming up. And since I had brought so many to the table to your team, they had said, hey, look, why don't you work with us on one? And at that point, I just dove in. I didn't have any idea what role I was playing. I just dove in. I was, working.
That first one was Brighton Place, right?
Yeah.
First one's Brighton Place. Okay. Yeah. And you did so much work for us too. I mean, you really rolled up your sleeves, the due diligence. You did the offering memorandum for the investors. You're fantastic with laying out an incredibly impressive PowerPoint. You did the research. I mean, you just added a tremendous amount of value. And I know since then, I mean, you're on track just with us, I think, to be and track in general to be over 2,000 doors by the end of the year. And I don't know how many of those are with us, but there's a bunch. And so, we've been super impressed with the job you did, both Robert and I. You've added tremendous value.
I appreciate it. I think, go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say on top of that, the most successful people that we always see are the ones that just continuously try and add value to others with nothing expected in return. And then somehow magically by coincidence, they're successful 2-3 years later. Right. So that's a clue.
Right.
Yeah. And it's not, it was constantly traveling out to deals, underwriting deals, bringing deals to the table and showing up consistently as getting it done and consistently showing up that actually put me even on the radar, I think. And then in a very troubling time, your deals were as conservative as I was looking for and quite a bit more conservative than the majority of all of them out there. So it's just a very good, and I'm an ultra conservative individual. So it's a very good fit. Right. And I can fully wrap myself. And I even signed on many of those loans. Right. So that just shows an extra level of, hey, I'm 1,000% in on this. Let's do it.
Right.
So, I think that I didn't know what partnership percentage or what was going to happen. I was just, I wasn't looking for a handout and I wasn't leading with, let's get a contract signed. I was just, let's just go get it done, And
that approach was, I'm going to tell you, really refreshing because it wasn't about what's in it for me. It was a whole adding value thing, like Mark just talked about. It was all about that. And Robert and I saw it, and it was a no-brainer to bring you in.
So I want to jump back. I know you talked about the aha moment from the single family jumping into the multifamily. For the listeners, what triggered that? Was it a certain amount of doors? Was it a certain amount of time period? Was there too many headaches with certain tenants? What triggered that aha moment that made you jump from single to multifamily?
Well, I was listening to quite a few different podcasts at the time. I run every morning. And so I like I said, I learn a lot. At the time I started really struggling with the reach of trying to manage things from afar while having a high-tech job that wasn't anywhere nearby. With the single family, I had to do every single job. I had to go find the deals, underwrite the deals. I had to show up, do the due diligence on the deals. I had to manage the construction of the deals and then even manage the property manager of the deals. And every time you would add a new one, it's not a team sport. Single family is just a one-man band. And I wasn't passionate about a lot of that stuff, right? I was, and it got to be just a ton of work every time I added one. Whereas when we did Brighton Place, doing the entire 86 unit first deal is a little bit smaller than the 200-300 units that we're doing now, and I think this last one's 700. But that one deal was equivalent to like 2 single family deals, right? And the deals are large in terms of the work that I put in, right? But in terms of the enjoyment, now I'm doing a team sport with the most amazing players who are perfecting their craft and doing what they want to do, and they're in their niche, passionate about it, and they're not forced to kind of work in all these other areas that they want. It's a much better. And I was going to have to do another 20 different single families. I could only do 4 a year, right, with this incredibly demanding job. But once you get into single family and you get in your sweet spot, you figure out where you add value and where your superpower is.
Multifamily, you mean? Once I
get into multifamily and I figured, hey, this is my superpower. I just tell you what, I have a passion for helping people that are in the single family dealing with tenants, toilets, and trash, and trying to get their property managers to deal with their scattered portfolio. Because the property manager's making like $100, $200 a month. That barely pays for them to just get to the properties. with multifamily, you have economy of scale. You have them on site calling you every Monday, reporting to you instead of the other way around, you chasing them. And also with busy professionals, I have a passion for helping busy professionals because I am one, right? And I know what it's like to have to work, to see a path where you're going to basically work until you die. And my stocks have been gutted by volatility of the market in the past. I've seen really the wrong kind of real estate deals go south. And, in the multifamily space, I see a path where you have limited exposure to market volatility, you have inflation hedging, you have extraordinary tax advantages because of the bonus depreciation and cost segment you would otherwise wouldn't have in the smaller, and you can be in a purely passive position because the assets are large enough to fund incredibly experienced people that have been doing this for decades with the track record.
Right. Let's talk about that for a minute. I want to drill down. Hold on, Mark. I want to drill down on, you talked about superpower and we talk about that on a fairly consistent basis here. And I just want to hammer that home. So, in your case, you brought a unique set of skills. It reminded me of that movie with Liam Neeson. Just got a trigger right there.
Little different skills.
I have a special set of skills. Yeah, but anyway, So you brought some incredible skills to the table, and that's what's so beautiful about this business is you don't have to do it all. You work in what you're powerful in, what you love, what you're passionate about, and you bring that energy to a team that handles the things that you're not as passionate about. And success is just frankly, it's a given. It's inevitable. So I just want to hammer that home, guys. You don't have to know everything. There's so many different roles in the multifamily realm that you align with a good team. Patrick was blessed and so talented to align with our team, and it was obvious that we wanted him, and so but there are lots of teams out there, and you bring the value. You figure out how you can add value by finding deals, by building relationships, by doing the analysis, by doing the due diligence, the property management, maybe doing helping with creating the offering memorandum like Patrick did that as well, and doing the research on a deal. There's so many ways that you can add value. You don't have to do it all. So I just want to hammer that home for a minute. So Patrick, let me ask you this. I know you're still working your core job. Yes. I mean, you're still doing the digital. I mean, so you've got 40 hours for someone else, and you'll have 2,000 doors as a general partner KP by the end of the year. Mm-hmm. The first question I have is, how do you manage all that? How do you, you're going and visiting properties, you're doing research, you're doing due diligence. How do you get all that done? So speak to that first.
Well, so COVID helped out a lot, right? Because everything became remote. It became harder to travel on site. So where I would normally be traveling to sites for machine design robotics projects, I'm doing a little bit less now, right? And that helped. But it also, on weekends, I'm able to travel out, and I'm able to take vacation days or stuff like that to account for the days that I can't be away. But the reality is, I can chunk away. Like, you're talking to a guy who was working full time and did 2 master's degrees. So for me, getting the work done has never been the problem, right? Okay. I think it was really just taking that leap and just hearing the massive action and then just doing it, right? Getting over the analysis paralysis, I think, was really what was the leap.
Did you suffer from that for a while? Curious.
Yeah, well, it was a combination of analysis paralysis and just kind of ultra conservatism because of my past. And I think those things serve me because I very careful steps, but also it meant, when we wanted to start doing multifamily, it was years before we actually got into a deal. Right. And I don't think that that's bad, but it did take a while. Some people are way past where I'm at.
And some people are making mistakes right now too. And you are very conservative, as are we, because of our our baggage that we dealt with in the past. So let me ask you a kind of a more global question, because I know you moved to Honolulu, which is a big deal. Talk about that. What I mean, because I don't want to put words in your mouth, but are you starting to look through more of a lifestyle filter?
Well, yeah. So how that went down, because it's in the book,
Okay.
is we were in Los Angeles. The fires were coming through constantly.
Oh,
We were
okay.
not only on quarantine, but we were on curfew because of the riots that were happening and the looting, and the whole city was boarded up. And my wife came out. We were working at home saying, let's move to Honolulu. I just had us on a plane 2.5 weeks later.
Wow.
It was just a massive, everything was packed up, moved out. We woke up in Lani Kai 2.5 weeks and one morning after, and it was and ever since then, she's been getting promoted. Animation's been taken off, and we've been killing it. And I've been red-eyeing back and forth, right? It's another 6 hours between here and just California, much less. And we've been making it happen. So it's and we come back to a beautiful spot.
Massive freaking action. Well, let me ask you one more question. I don't want to steal all of Mark's thunder. What is your definition of success? What's driving all this? How far are you going to take all of this?
Well, my definition of success is making careful steps and bringing people with me. I think my whole life has been, even my birthdays for 12 years before COVID, I took a group of people to the wine country in California for the whole weekend. And my version of success is surrounding myself with the right people and creating an adventure and bringing them with me. And so that's what I love about it. I love the team and I love the partners, active and passive, and making it happen. And right now I feel like we're adding value, right? They're adding value to us by enabling the deals, and we're adding value back and by providing good returns. And so, to me, I'm not a greedy individual. I come from, middle class multifamily. We're doing just fine. My wife's doing great, but I think we just love the road we're on, and we love the people we're working with. So we're just going to keep after it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, listen, I know you've added tremendous value to the Warrior community. And those of you listening, if you have any interest in the Warrior program, text the word crush to 72345 so we can help you crush it in this business like Patrick is knocking it out of the park with. And again, text crush to 72345 to apply. And we check you out and you check us out. And if it's a fit, we're off to the races. So we'd love to have you check it out if you're interested. And Mark, I've kind of been monopolizing the conversation.
Well, I know you mentioned the analysis paralysis. That's one more thing that I wanted to ask you is what role has mentors like Rod or anybody played in your business and life? Was it something where you wanted accountability or someone to push you, or what made you decide, hey, I want to get a mentor rather than just do things on your own?
Well, I wanted to accelerate things because first of all, I feel like I had already done the academics, right? I'd already gone through so much myself. I didn't need somebody to do it for me. I just needed somebody to kind of push me over the line. And I think that the mentorship programs are an accelerator if you're the right person. They say when the student's ready, the teacher will arrive, right?
Oh, and really good point.
That's the reality. I saw a lot of people in the program just show up being like, okay, let's do this. And I'm like, do what? What do you bring in? What direction are you going? And so I was bringing deals to the coaches, just like I was bringing deals to people before. And I think that helped out with, is this a good deal or is it a bad deal? And what is a good deal, bad deal? And what is that? Underwriting is subjective sometimes, and it's open to interpretation. And everybody's concept of risk is different, and they have different, and they believe so. It's a judgment call that you at the end of the day, and that kind of wisdom and that kind of experience comes from sometimes having some failures and having a coach there that has done that and been through some failures or seen things go wrong and been humbled, and that to them to say, okay, this is a good deal and why, and these are why these aren't. That really is, I think, what kind of helped me out, I think, to really push me over the edge.
Good. Awesome. So let me ask you this, and you're the kind of person I could ask this of. I asked this on the other portion of our show. If you went back with the knowledge that you had now, that you have right now, based on the incredible success that you're manifesting and making happen, and went back to 10 years ago, what might you do differently? What might you tell that version of yourself about this business or life in general that you might do differently?
So Yeah, 10 years ago or 15 years ago.
15, whatever. You pick. You pick.
Well,
Yeah.
as you say, it's the experiences that were tough that harden you, that kind of make you stronger, right? And so I don't regret where I was, but probably I did have people saying, well, why don't you think of multifamily multiple years ago? And back even when I was doing single family in Houston, right, they were saying, well, have you considered multifamily? And I was like, I'd rather have control. I'd rather be calculated. I'd rather kind of do it on my own. And I would rather just kind of hold, invest, and just buy, renovate, refi, and hold.
Right.
I wasn't listening and really diving into, scaling in a way where you use other partners and what that would mean, and how instead of hold investing, which actually just drives your returns down and down, while I'm in a growth mode, keep my velocity of capital higher by buying properties that could renovate and then roll those into the next, and then renovate and roll those into the next and renovate. And so I wasn't doing that. And I would say those were great deals. I'm selling them for, 4 times what I paid for them now.
The houses, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. But I could have been so much further. Had I just taken the leap and took the risk and maybe thought a little bigger and allowed myself to trust and just kind of take the time to, instead of just getting into my single family today with my own money, I spent 2 years learning how to do it with other people's money.
Yeah.
And there was an investment there too, right?
Sure. Time and learning investment.
Yeah,
sure. But
exactly.
But the velocity is there now. I mean, look at you.
Yep.
I mean, since you've almost 2,000 units, and as a GP, and this is not as a limited partner either. This is as a GP and KP, which is just extraordinary. Well, listen, brother, it's great to see you. Please, like I said, give Shuo a hug for me. I really appreciate you coming on the show. You added a ton of value. Guys, check out his Amazon best-selling book, Persistence, Pivots, and Game Changers. I'm excited to get that myself, and I really appreciate you coming on the show, my friend. Thank you.
Absolutely happy to do it. Thanks, Rod and Mark.
Take care,
Patrick.
Thanks.
Rod, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. Now, I know you've been hard at work helping our Warrior students do just that using our ACT methodology, which is awareness, close, and transform. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
You bet. Guys, we've been going nonstop for 3 years, building an amazing community of like-minded people. And our coaching students, which we call our warriors, have had extraordinary results. They've purchased thousands and thousands of units. And last year, we did over 1,000 units with our students. And we're looking to grow this group and take it to the next level. We're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework that's really step by step, and then leverage our systems and network to raise equity, to find and close deals, and to build partnerships nationwide. Now, our warrior community is finding success in any market cycle. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more of our incredible network and take advantage of the incredible opportunities that are coming very soon, apply to work with us at mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 72345, and we'll set up a call so you can check us out and we can check you out. That's mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 72345.